sympathize with it. We've got a lot of screechers on our side of the aisle. It's kind of our side's turn for psychos
It's
at
going
the
to be
wheel.
a stark difference on this 2v2.
It's election season, bro. Everyone wants to yell.
Yeah.
What was the topic of the first one?
Democracy, good.
It was like why is America so divided? And clearly the Democrats said Republicans said Democrats.
No shot.
I mean, I'm
really?
a Republican. Yeah,
You don't say.
surprising.
Yeah, surprised me.
There was division
crazy.
on the topic. Wow.
And then President Sunday came in and was deranged and then left mid-panel, which is also equally surprising to everything mentioned up till now.
I don't know much about President Sunday lore, but the way that people speak about him, he sounds like a character.
He's content.
It was a real profound twist because he seemed so amicable in a relative sense to like anytime I've seen him before. And then all of a sudden, on a dime, in the one response that he left on, he just randomly was like, this dude for being a homeless veteran, he should be making money and loving his family and not in a debate panel. That's the reason he's streaming from his car right now. I was like, wait, what is happening?
Jesus.
It's a bold move.
You can only measure somebody for that long, you know? Somebody like him for that long.
All right, Dylan's
it
wrapping
good.
up. I will drag you in as soon as they come out.
Sweet.
Thank you, everyone. Especially thank you, Cam Higby. Let's save my bacon there. You can carry on talking, you know.
Well,
I mean,
I just, you know.
You killed the vibe.
You were like, all right, everyone. Like, you know, that's
Just
usually
giving you a warning. That's
quiet on set.
No, it was more my own realizing that I just rambled for like a minute straight. So
normal.
yeah, it's actually not. I usually go for 3.
You said I can't be succinct. No, I can't even say it. Succinct. So I'm just going to talk faster.
Literally, I was like, I'm just going to talk really fast because that's the only way I'm going to fit what I have to say in 2 minutes. So I said I need an actual moderator when I have debates for myself, not for the other side. Need someone to shut me up.
I'm streaming also. Be careful. Don't say anything crazy, okay?
Oh, Destiny, sorry for uploading the full version of anything else. That was my fault. Just be private, okay.
Wait, Destiny, can you just make some noise real quick so I can get your level?
My level's fucking fine. Don't adjust it. Put me at 100. That's exactly where I should be, okay?
It was at 200 for some reason, so you were coming in a little
He
hot.
just was really interested in what you had to say.
No, I think I messed the inputs up, and then, yeah, I got weird from
All
there.
right. Looks like they're all out.
All right.
Denabo.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Have fun.
Your cams will turn off when I drag you in. You'll need to turn them back on. Thank you.
Can I just say my favorite moment today was when everybody in chat was like, Destiny's out of touch. He doesn't know what it's like to be whatever. Like, I just don't think Destiny, because he's an out of touch millionaire. And then as soon as I told the story about my family getting evicted and having to file bankruptcy, then all of a sudden, everybody in chat switched up to, oh, Destiny just has an emotional attachment to this issue. That's why he can't see it clearly. Fuck you guys. And fuck the monogonoids, okay? They're not good people.
Has it really been that long?
I don't know if I've talked to you since you've been to Ukraine.
Really? Man,
Yeah.
that would be going on 3 years then.
It's been 3 years?
It would be going on 3 years, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
My goodness. Wow. Cam, I got to say, I'm very thankful for you coming in last second to replace Lauren Southern's last second dropout from the debate. Again, for everybody who's just tuning in, she said that she didn't have enough time to prepare because in the last 48 hours, she had some personal stuff come up. We do give the topics 2 to 3 weeks in advance, but she was waiting till the last 24 hours to prepare, and sadly, it just meant that she didn't feel she was ready to have the conversation. So we're going to have instead Cam Higby, who actually canceled. I saw he shut down his stream. He was like, never mind, I'm going to research. He's hungry. He's hungry. And I love it when people are hungry. Thank you guys for coming on today, taking some time to be on the show today. We're going to go around and have everybody introduce themselves. I want to thank Sean, Destiny, Hutch, and Cam Higby for coming on. Let's start with the guy who just, arrived in the last second to save us. Cam Higby, want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name's Cam Higby. I'm an investigative journalist and undercover journalist for a company called Today's America, and I also do political commentary and debates.
Thank you very much for coming last second. I do appreciate it, and I hope the viewers at home consider the fact that this is a last second appearance for Mr. Cam Higbee. We're going to throw it over now to Hutch.
Welcome everybody. It's nice to meet you, Sean. Thanks for subbing in so quickly, Cam. Look forward to having the conversation with you, and congrats on bringing Hippy Dippy back, Dylan.
Thank you very much. Always happy to come to the depths of Twitch poll and see where I can make my coin. I'm going to now throw it over to Destiny.
What's up? I'm also an investigative political guy. I investigate Wikipedia, and thanks for having me.
Happy to have Wikipedia's top researcher here today. We're now going to throw it over to Sean Fitzgerald, also known as Actual Justice Warrior.
What's up? I'm a YouTuber. I focus mostly on crime stuff, and the reason Lauren couldn't make it is due to the fact that we can't work together. It's my fault. I take all the blame for it.
Damn.
You can't work together?
Yeah, irreconcilable differences.
Wow, I had no clue. Well, there you go. Breaking news from Sean Fitzgerald. Irreconcilable differences. Whatever those were. Now we're going to go into the topic for today. The topic is democracy on the ballot in 2024? It's a big topic. From the left, you hear a lot that Donald Trump is anti-democracy, he's authoritarian, that he tried to overturn the results of the election. And so many Democrats are fearful that if he wins, that he's going to end democracy as you know it. He's going to do damage to our institutions. On the right, you hear a lot about the political persecution of Donald Trump through the justice system picking on him and going after him legally in order to try to undermine his presidential ambitions. Or is it all just nonsense and everybody needs to stop being so hyperbolic? Is democracy on the ballot in 2024? We're going to start today with, you know what, actually, let's go with Actual Justice Warrior.
All right, great. Thank you. So the question of is democracy is on the ballot is honestly a bit ridiculous in my opinion. It is not on the ballot for this election, and if my opponents are going to argue the contrary, they're going to have to explain exactly why the mechanisms of our government are going to be overthrown if presumably Trump gets elected. The fact of the matter is our government is the longest consistent government currently going in world history at this moment in time. We have been through a bunch of different controversial elections. We have been through a Trump presidency already. So these guys are going to have to explain what would be different about Trump winning in 2024 that was different from him winning in 2016.
Okay, I'm going to now throw it over to Hutch.
I actually wrote out kind of a lengthy opener. Is that okay, or do you want it more concise?
To 2 minutes, under 2 minutes is usually where we go. 2:30 I'll allow, but like don't go like excessive.
Okay, let me just try to get through as much as possible. So
Okay.
I do in fact think that democracy is on the ballot in 2024, even if the threats it faces aren't necessarily immediate. I would like to focus on what lies do to a democracy. It's impossible to have a healthy, functional democracy if the electorate is aggressively misinformed. When you have a misinformed electorate that are angry enough about the lies they've been told, events like January 6th become more and more likely. One person in particular has misinformed his voters more than any president that has ever come before him. Everybody on this panel knows that every politician lies to one degree or another. Omission, exaggeration, embellishment, and hyperbole are all standard practices for any politician. But Trump is not your average politician, and the brazenness of his lies put him in an entirely separate universe. He lies about the weirdest, most unnecessary, easily disprovable things, such as he started his presidency with a lie about his crowd sizes. He claimed that the clouds parted and it stopped raining as he started speaking at his inauguration. He used a Sharpie pen to elongate the projected path of a hurricane, claims that windmill noise causes cancer. He lied about being Michigan's Man of the Year. These are just the silly lies, but I think they give you a sense of who he is. He's clearly demonstrated that he has no regard whatsoever for the truth. His instinct every time he opens his mouth is self-aggrandizement. And to that end, he is willing to do and say whatever pops into his head at any given moment for any given topic. The truth simply does not matter to him at all. The spirit of democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And if the people are angry, confused, and misinformed, you are throwing about 10,000 wrenches into a system that was designed with bipartisan efforts in mind. It's simply impossible to work together with a group of people that live in a totally different reality crafted by their chosen leader. I had more to that, but I'll just cut it off there.
We'll get through it during the conversation. We're going to throw it now over to Cam Higbee.
Yeah, I don't think that Trump is capable of, nor do I think that he has the influence to overthrow democracy or disintegrate it in this country. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be my opening statement. I think he's, done plenty of things. He's tried to do plenty of sneaky things, and it's not worked each time. So.
Okay, we're gonna now throw it over to Destiny.
I think democracy is on the ballot. I think we are a democratic constitutional republic. I think Donald Trump stands opposed to every single part of that system. Donald Trump does not like democracy. He wants to rule as the single executive, as the king who can make decisions that circumvents Congress or decisions that are beyond the courts. It's why he asked for criminal immunity from the Supreme Court. It's why he tries to do immigration policy and other policy through executive order. He doesn't value the legislature. I think that we are a constitutional republic. We have a constitution that all of us are supposed to answer to. Donald Trump says that when he needs to, he will terminate the Constitution. If he needs to find voter fraud, if he needs to hunt political enemies, he says that he can suspend the Constitution or terminate it and go after those people. And we are a republic where the power is vested in our representatives to make decisions for us. We are not a monarchy. We are not ruled by one man. We are supposed to have an entire legislative branch. And Donald Trump's entire political career is all centered around only staffing the government with sycophants, is only centered around trying to get people in Congress who will worship him and who will help him circumvent responsibility and the law in any way, size, shape possible. Like when he avoided his conviction in the Senate for impeachment because people, for some reason in the Senate, thought that you can't impeach a non-sitting president, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I think that Donald Trump stands opposed to every single foundational idea about our democracy, and he stands opposed to the very reasons that Sean mentioned, that our democracy is one of the longest living ones on the planet thus far.
Okay, so from there, we're gonna leave it to be open for you guys to go back and forth. Who wants to grab it first?
I can grab it. I love grabbing things.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was a very, very simple question posed initially. I think Sean said that if we're going to say that Donald Trump represents some existential threat this time as opposed to last time, what's changed? And the thing that's changed is that Donald Trump didn't understand how any part of the government worked last time. This time he's got a slightly better understanding, so he's only picking people that will go along with him for his illegal plots instead of assuming they'll go along with him for his illegal plots like he did last time. So I think picking people like J.D. Vance, who has signaled that he would back him on any attempted coup stuff like what he tried for January 6th, I think is a good example of a meaningful change in Trump's next administration as opposed to his last one.
Okay, we're gonna throw it. I want to throw. That was a response to Actual Justice Warrior. So you think you could take that?
Yeah. So, I mean, you bring up January 6th, which is unsurprising. You've been doing a million, billion, zillion hours of streaming on this specific issue. So I understand that that's your go-to point. But my question is that January 6th, if we take it in its worst reading, was a plot involving the electors. If Donald Trump is elected the 47th president of the United States, that will be his second term in office, which according to the 22nd Amendment, he is not eligible to run for president again. So how are you going to cite this plot that's not even possible if he wins as a mechanism for him to remain in power when he can't put himself on the ballot as per the 22nd Amendment? Again, you have to demonstrate that Donald Trump is going to be able to end democracy with the methods that are available to him. Do you think he's going to overthrow the 22nd Amendment, that Republicans are going to gain enough in the House, in the Senate, and statewide in order to get rid of that so he can serve for additional terms? Like, how is this plot that you're imagining in your brain going to actually work?
Two very simple things. One, he said that he doesn't like the Constitution, so he can terminate it at will. He's already said that once. I don't think he actually could do that. But the second thing, the nice thing about kings is they always have children to run their kingdom for them after they're gone. He could very easily do the same type of plot, but instead do it to get Trump Jr. in office instead of himself.
So he's going to pass it to Trump Jr. non-electorally. Like, how exactly is that going to work?
The same way that he tried to pass it to himself non-electorally, where he got people to lie and say they were electors and then try to get the VP to certify the vote in Congress.
Okay, again, but that had to do with him being on the ballot and an elector scheme, and like we all understand that.
Can his son not be on the ballot next election cycle?
Well, he wouldn't be on the ballot for the 2028 presidency. Like, so he's
why he can't run for the presidency in 2028?
Oh, his son is going to run. So if his son is elected and he wins, like, how is that ending democracy?
Well,
like,
it's not democracy if he wins. It's if they try to make him win when he didn't win, like he tried to do in 2020.
Oh, okay. I see. So you think he's going to hand it off to Don Jr. Like, that's the line that you're going with.
I mean, he could. I don't know. Why not? He tried to illegally hand it off to himself last time. Why wouldn't he do it to his son next time? Who knows?
I think all the arguments to try to prove that like democracy is going to end if Trump wins the election this year is just going to be based on conjecture. Like, I think the arguments about like Trump appointing people to government, specifically in like courts and stuff, that worship him and that will follow him into the depths of hell to get him reelected is just like not true. Like the courts repeatedly, when he tried to like claim election fraud and stuff like that, repeatedly rejected to hear claims. They repeatedly rejected to hear appeals. Even the Supreme Court with a 6 conservative supermajority rejected to hear anything about it. So like, if it wasn't achievable last time, I highly doubt with all of these people that are allegedly loyal to Trump in the government, even right now, I highly doubt he would ever manage to pull it off.
So I think there's a couple things here. I think like we're talking about the risk to democracy in an immediate sense. And I don't think we need to limit it to just that. We can talk about ways that he could sort of chip away at democracy and lay the foundation for democracy being stress tested in the future. But I guess my question to my two conservative co-panelists here are, what is the logic around, like, first of all, do you acknowledge that he stress tested democracy in 2020? And what, if you do, what would be the logic of allowing him a second chance to try to stress test it in ways that maybe we haven't even thought of yet?
Also, as a quick thing before that question is answered, just as a response to that, what was just said, first of all, the courts didn't reject him. He got more criminal immunity than he even asked for, number one. Number two, J.D. Vance is a person that he would put in that would go along with him further than Pence did. So that's an example of him picking somebody that would help him. And then number three, when we say every single judge ruled against him, they did in the election fraud case, but Judge Cannon in Florida basically tossed his entire case in Mar-a-Lago and at the very least has succeeded in delaying it past the election. So that's not true either.
Yeah. So you could argue that they sided with him on like presidential immunity stuff, but that's literally written into the Constitution.
It's
like that's
literally
not.
It's literally not written. I promise you, it's not.
It's to rule upon the Constitution, but when you look at like actual rejection of election-related cases, in December 11th, according to BBC, they federal courts refused to hear his cases. AP in February 22nd, 2021, they refused to hear his cases. And NBC reported on March 8th, 2021, that the final election challenge was rejected by federal courts. All Trump appointees, by the way. In addition, 9 judges that he appointed in 2020 also refused to hear specifically like ballot disputes, right?
On election fraud, yes. But for the criminal immunity,
right.
That's not in the Constitution. The Supreme Court invented that for Trump, for Donald Trump.
But again, your argument seems to be that our institutions are strong enough to withstand someone like Trump. But my question is, how do you justify allowing someone to come in and check those institutions and actually stress them and see how far these checks and balances actually go to constrain him?
Well, first of all, prior to your question, you were like, well, I'm not saying democracy is going to end. I'm just saying it's going to be chipped away. So you got to kind of commit to your argument, because if you're saying it's not going to end, then you kind of agree with me in that regard, that the institutions are well suited to hold up to whatever challenges, real or imagined, that Trump will bring up. So it seems a little weaselly for you to back off of the premise of the debate by saying like, oh, well, he might chip away at our institutions. I mean, you could argue that prosecuting your political opponent is chipping away at our institutions. You could argue that using new interpretations or setting up test cases in order to set up for a future prosecution against a former president is a chip at our institutions and at the norms that we're typically used to in the United States of America. You know, the things that ultimately ended up leading to that immunity decision from the Supreme Court. That's not really the end of democracy. I don't think that our system was destroyed over the last 4 years under the Biden administration. So, like, I think you got to either commit, like Steven actually is, to some kind of crazy plot that Trump's going to overthrow our entire system of government, or not.
Also, hold on. Prosecuting political opponents. Biden is not prosecuting political opponents. I don't know what that has to do with. I think that we have a system of criminal law in this country, and upholding the system of criminal law is one of our institutions. The judicial courts are part of the institutions of the United States. It's one of the 3 branches of government. So the idea that a court or a prosecutor saying that Donald Trump's committed crimes and then having him stand trial in court is an upholding of our institutions. It's not a violation of them.
I also reject your absolutist take here. You're saying that there's no middle ground. That I will tell you, during the Trump era, my faith in our institutions actually went up. It made me appreciate our institutions in a way that I didn't before, because they so sufficiently checked him. What I'm saying is that you don't necessarily need to make the case that democracy itself is going to end on, January 20th, 2025, if he's elected. I'm saying he can do sufficient damage to our institutions during his time in office, such that it would be the case later on that it would be even easier to chip away at a later date. I don't understand why you're forcing me to take
really on the ballot.
You agree to the premise of this debate is democracy on the ballot, meaning this election will decide whether or not democracy continues. That's a premise of this debate that you agreed to.
That's a strict interpretation of what we're talking about here. I think you can make the case that democracy is in peril with someone like Donald Trump taking office, even if it means what it could potentially mean down the line.
The premise is,
so I don't interpret that premise the same way that you do.
It's not vague at all.
No, I'm saying democracy can be on the ballot, and you can make that case by pointing to the many times that he stress tested our system and the fact that he will do it again.
I mean, it seems, again, it's like democracy is not on the ballot, but it is on the ballot when it's convenient in this way. It's like, I don't know what exactly I'm arguing against.
I don't know if it's going to be like literally the end of democracy, but we know that he tried to end it his first time. I have no idea like what he has in mind in terms of what he wants to do down the line. I know that he tried to end the Democratic project the first time he was in office. So I'm not saying that's entirely off the table. I'm saying that is possible, but there's also these considerations over here. How do you two justify seeing what he did? You both seem intelligent, informed. How do you justify watching what he did in the months leading into January 6th and watch what he did on January 6th and decide to yourself, you know what, I'm okay with like giving him another chance to do something similar should he want to do that? How do you justify that?
I think the premise of the debate is not, are we voting for Trump or not? I think the premise of the debate is democracy on the ballot, which puts the burden of proof to prove that democracy is on the ballot to you, right? We're not claiming that like we justify what Trump did, or we're not trying to justify what Trump did, right? We're not saying that all of these things you're talking about that Trump did were great or good things. I actually think that a lot of them were bad things, but that doesn't mean that democracy is on the ballot. There's no way that our institutions won't withstand whatever like Trump throws at them, right? We have checks and balances in the country, and anything he tries to do to deteriorate away from those checks and balances, I believe, will be checked by those very checks and balances.
Okay, well, just hold on real quick. Democracy is on the ballot, and you are definitionally incorrect. We've lost some of those checks and balances. One of them is the criminal prosecution of the President of the United States. Most people would agree, most reasonable people would agree, the president probably shouldn't be able to commit crimes while he's in office because criminal law is important and the public has an interest in not seeing criminals committing crimes, especially the president of the United States. The judiciary is a check that we have lost, essentially, on the president. So that's one check that's completely gone. Republicans have shown that they are willing to sycophantically support Donald Trump in basically whatever he wants to do. That's why on January 6th, he had 11 senators, plus I think Jim Jordan, a representative, that was willing to go along with his contesting the election, contesting the certification of the results. So that shows that the legislature is somewhat compromised as well. And then you've got the president of the United States, who is going to be, or who would be Donald Trump, who believes, I guess, in the unitary executive theory, where he thinks that he can go and he can talk to whoever he wants in whatever department he wants and fire and hire whoever he wants in order to get them to do whatever he wants. So it kind of seems like he wants to just be one man that rules everything. So in terms of checks and balances existing, seems like those aren't doing too hot right now with the way that Donald Trump wants to run things. And if you talk about the Constitution, which should be your ultimate check, Donald Trump says that he wants to terminate the Constitution when it's convenient to him. So I don't see how we're so confident that our checks and balances would survive another term of Trump when he already succeeded in eroding like 1.5 of them.
Yeah, Destiny, do you seriously think that Trump is going to terminate the Constitution and be successful in doing that?
I wouldn't have seriously thought that Donald Trump would try to rig the election, and I wouldn't think that 75% of Republicans today would still believe that the last election was stolen. So, I mean, I wouldn't think either of those things too, but...
Destiny, that's not the question I asked you. Like, do you actually believe that Donald Trump is going to, like, rescind the Constitution successfully?
I think he would want to, yes. Would he have the ability to do so? I'm not sure. I don't know right now.
Well, that's the question. It's like, would Trump have the ability to like overthrow democracy in the country? That's the entire premise of the debate. Again, like even you're not sure that he's going to rescind the Constitution, but you keep citing it over and over again as like a talking point against
the question
Trump.
Is democracy on the ballot? With Barack Obama, closing Guantanamo Bay was on the ballot. Yes, but he didn't do it. I mean, because he wasn't able to do it. What is the question? You're not asking me something on the ballot. You're asking, can you say with 100% certainty that in the future this particular thing will happen? Nobody knows that about what's on the ballot. That's not how voting works. What do you mean?
But with the Guantanamo Bay thing that you're talking about, right? Like this was like a stated presidential goal, yes?
Yep.
Okay, great. So is overthrowing democracy a stated presidential goal from Donald Trump?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, actually, well, the Constitution thing, sure. It's not a state, like, it's not, he's not running on this, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, he is.
Like, no, he's not.
He's not.
when the president says that I would arrest people for burning the flag, it's a violation of the First Amendment. The amendments are part of the Constitution, by the way. When the president says that he would suspend the Constitution, he would terminate the Constitution in order to go after voter fraud. That's kind of an attack on democracy. Yes, he said he would do that. He said he'd be a dictator on day one. Like, what? How am I supposed to read that?
We have to get past the election. We have to get past the election first. Do my co-panelists here? Are you guys 100% confident that he's not going to engage in some kind of similar scheme to 2020? Are you guys confident that he's not going to try to influence election officials all over the country to circumvent the will of the voters like he did in 2020? Are you guys 100% confident he's not going to do that again?
You're changing the parameters of the debate, but that's fine. But to Steven's point about, he wants to arrest people for burning the American flag. He said that in 2016. When he was running then, he said that for long periods of time in his life. And when he was in office, he did absolutely nothing to forward those goals. And you also say, this presidential immunity, it doesn't exist. People don't want the president to commit crimes and all of that. Well, I happen to remember when Barack Obama actually murdered an American citizen abroad, Abdul al-Awlaki. And Eric Holder, his attorney general, our top law enforcement officer, looked directly into the camera and he said, due process doesn't necessarily mean judicial process. So unlike Bill Barr, who didn't side with Trump in that particular instance, Eric Holder absolutely did. And yet our government still stands, despite the fact that Obama not only did that for him, who, by the way, very likely he was a propagandist for al-Qaeda, very likely betrayed our country, although you could try somebody in absentia. Obama didn't bother to do that. But then again, his son, who was 16 years old, was also killed, an American citizen, in another country by Obama. And again, it was under the same justification that due process doesn't equal judicial process. The difference between your flag quote and Eric Holder and Obama's actions is that Trump was in office. He did nothing about the American flag. But what we saw from the Obama administration is that they did claim and receive that power to kill Americans abroad that they deemed to be terrorists. And again, even this is not enough to be so hyperbolic and say, oh my God, democracy's quite literally on the ballot for our side.
One, Trump did try to do things to further those goals. He just didn't realize how any part of the government works because Donald Trump was a fucking moron. So initially, he thought that if he just appointed people that were strong Republicans that supported him, that they would support him in basically doing whatever he wanted them to do. That's why so many people resigned in the final days. That's why he thought that he could get Barr to go along with any plot that he wanted to. And Barr, who was a Trump loyalist through and through, eventually had to call it quits and ended up resigning. When you talk about comparing Barack Obama, trying to see if he can assassinate an American citizen or not, the question was does the president have the ability to order certain types of military strikes or assassinations on U.S. citizens? The process that Obama went through wasn't going to the Supreme Court saying, I need criminal immunity in case I want to commit crimes. It was going to the Office of Legal Counsel, and it was seeing if he thought that the President of the United States had the authority to do this and if it was in the legal clear. He never said that I'm beyond judicial review. He never asked for any amending to the Constitution, and he certainly didn't ask Congress to protect him and shield him from the liability of any of his actions. So no, it's not even remotely comparable. If Donald Trump would have gone to
he just presumed that he had the ability to do that. Like,
what does presume mean?
When you talk about legal counsel, those are his lawyers to come up with the justification.
No, you're dead wrong. You're completely wrong. You misunderstand completely the structure of government. The OLC, the White House counsels, those are not his personal lawyers. Personal lawyers would be people like Giuliani.
Lawyers, but
they're not. They're not his lawyers. They're the president of the United States lawyers, and it's for his. But there's an important distinction. For instance, when you say Donald Trump's lawyers, like Sidney Powell and Giuliani and Eastman, these people aren't affiliated with government. These are his personal lawyers that serve at his personal pleasure for his personal gain and benefit. When Barack Obama goes to the Office of Legal Counsel, when he confers with his Attorney General for the DOJ, he's trying to ensure that he's doing his best to stay within the bounds of the law. Donald Trump wants to change the law. Barack Obama didn't go to the Supreme Court and ask for permission to kill somebody. Donald Trump went to the Supreme Court and asked for criminal immunity so they can do what he wants.
But you actually should change the law, and he didn't ask for criminal immunity to do what he wants. He petitioned for criminal immunity because he was faced with prosecutions after he left office. He wasn't in power when he did that. Obama used the White House counsel to justify granting himself new powers, like you said, without changing a law, without consulting the judicial branch. And he just did it. He invented it whole cloth. And there was presumed immunity when he did it because he never feared any kind of prosecution for that.
Obama, I could kill this. It's so easy. You said Barack Obama didn't fear any kind of prosecution. Then why even go to the OLC?
to get some kind of basic legal justification.
Wait. Why would he need a justification? If he never the fact that you're saying this and you're smarter, you know this. You went to school for criminal law, right? Why would I go and talk to a lawyer if I never thought that I would ever be criminally liable? You wouldn't do that.
Lawyers to do everything.
What?
Like Trump talked to lawyers before he did like what your the January 6th stuff. He
Wrong.
consulted with lawyers.
He asked lawyers to help him scheme and plot, and they said that it wouldn't work, and so he found other ones that would say he would. Barack Obama didn't go to the OLC, get a disfavorable opinion, and then find a new lawyer to tell him otherwise. It's absolutely not even remotely comparable.
Well, his White House lawyers gave him whatever paper thin justification he needed right from the jump, so he didn't have to get a
If
second
the justification was paper thin, then why didn't anybody with standing bring a case to the Supreme Court and have it overruled? Or why didn't Congress legislate and create a new statute to limit the powers of the executive if they felt like it was over the line? It seems like every other branch of government disagrees with you, so I don't know. I don't know what your evidence is for the fact that the justification wasn't good.
I mean, the justification is that he didn't have to seek any due process, try somebody in absentia. Like, we have precedent for this. If you're going to accuse somebody of treason, which is providing aid and comfort to our enemies, that's actually a crime in the Constitution that you would actually have to prosecute. He just executed this guy.
He didn't. The guy wasn't on American soil. He didn't just execute the dude. Full stop. He was operating in his function as the commander-in-chief.
The Supreme Court has ruled that the Constitution goes wherever the U.S. government goes. Also, we are getting off the topic at hand, which is, of course, you presenting the case that Trump is going to end democracy.
Yes, he tried to end democracy. He failed, generally because Pence stood between him and democracy. And now he's picked a vice president, a new one, not the same one that he had before, who wouldn't stand between him and democracy, but he'd help him. He'd be his crony. So, yeah, I think that's pretty scary.
I would like to go back to the question that I asked before, because I do think it's relevant. I do think it's relevant to the topic. Sorry, Cam, what?
I was asking Destiny how he knows that JD Vance is going to like follow him into the pits of hell and like contest elections with him.
Because JD Vance said explicitly that he would have gone with him in his 2020 plot and refused to certify the electoral vote.
Where did he say that? When did he say that?
I think a couple weeks ago, or maybe even before that.
So here,
Does anybody? I hate to contribute to the debate, but he said it during the VP like race process. He went on one of the channel news stations and he asked, "And would you do what VP like Pence wouldn't do?" And he said, "Yes, he would."
Well, going back to the question that I asked before, you said that it was changing the parameters of the debate for me to ask the question of, are you confident that Trump isn't going to try to scheme and try to subvert the will of the voters again in 2024? But I don't think it's moving away from the topic whatsoever. If he is ultimately successful in doing that, that will be the end of democracy. If he subverts the will of millions of voters, if he somehow finds enough loyalists to get it done this time, that would be the end of the American democratic experiment. And who the fuck knows where we go from there? So I think the question is relevant. Do you feel confident that he's not going to try to do something similar?
We don't have to prove that to like be on the winning side of this argument. The burden of proof is on you to prove that democracy is on the ballot, okay? That seems to be, Destiny has no problem staying on that topic, apparently. You are the only one who wants to deviate from it, okay?
Wait. If Trump
try to do anything,
if Trump steals this election,
you have to prove that he's going to be successful in doing something.
If Trump steals this election, would that be the end of American democracy?
If he steals the election,
yes.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I guess if he gets VP Harris,
he's not president though.
If he gets VP Harris and not certify the election, then I guess.
No, we're talking about corruptly influencing election officials all over the country. You have no idea how many loyalists have been installed in counties and districts all over the country.
Why didn't they come through for him in 2020 then?
A lot of them tried to. Pence stopped them.
A lot of them tried to.
And it didn't work, did it? It didn't work.
Because
I think if you're honest with yourself, you would say he's probably going to try to do something again. And the fact that you guys don't see
he's not going to, I'm just telling you that I don't need to prove that he's not going to win this argument. You have to prove that he's going to, and he's going to be successful to win this argument.
How is that even possible?
Saying, democracy's on the ballot, but also even if you vote for Kamala, then democracy's at risk because he's scheming. So even in that scenario, it's not really on the ballot because you're saying it's the outcome from both scenarios. Also, is it your contention that if Trump's plot to not certify the election, throw it to the House of Representatives would have occurred, that would be the end of American democracy? This is the unprecedented thing that would obliterate our system?
Nobody knows. The risk was there, though. Nobody has any idea what would have happened. Nobody has any idea what would have happened if Pence went along with his scheme. Nobody knows. Absolutely no. It would have been.
Let's say he went along and didn't certify. They throw it to the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives ends up voting that Trump won the election. Do you think that's the end of our democratic?
I think that, yes, the American democracy that has been meaningfully and forever altered, that a president was able to choose himself entrench his own power and circumvent the actual will of the people and the vote of the people. Yes.
So like it's unprecedented, never happened before. Like definitely would end our system for sure.
Would it end our entire system? I don't think that life would end. I don't think the planet would be destroyed, and the country would probably
democratic system.
If we consider electing like the president as one of the cornerstones of our democracy, then that thing has been severely damaged and potentially ended. Sure, yeah.
But what
it is
if
of
Trump?
course a cornerstone. It's of course a pillar of democracy.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's
Yes.
important for sure. But like, what if Trump was able to like successfully send like Republicans to various swing states and then get them to throw out ballots from Democrats because of fraud and flip those states in order to be in his camp? Like, what if he did it to like 4 states?
I mean,
Well,
if he found actual fraud, then
Bullshit fraud.
Well, no, like whether like, you know, like it was Republicans that went down in what should have been a nonpartisan process. Like if he was able to do that, would that have like definitely like ended our system?
That would end the American Democratic Project as we know it, and it would be something else after that. And that doesn't mean that it would like get rid of every democratic aspect moving forward, but that would be the end of the current project that we're in right now. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I 100% disagree with that. Because
Okay.
like that already.
well, I
that
think
already
yeah,
That already happened in the Hayes election. Like 3 Republicans, the Ulysses Grant's government, sent down their own people to toss out ballots from 4 states in order to get Hayes certified as the winner of the election. And then there's the Hayes Compromise, which is quite famous in our country, where the Democrats ended up giving up the presidential election that they likely would have won in order to get Union troops being pulled out of the government. So we're still considered a democracy up, according to you guys, up until now, and that was the election of 1876. So I'm guessing even that wouldn't destroy our system.
Okay, I'm gonna calling it as a W here then. Because now the debate has shifted to democracy is on the ballot, but is there a 1% chance or 100% chance that it would end? If we're gonna argue over like the percentage chance, I mean, we're never gonna be able to agree on that. But like, I'm content with like, if this is where we're at, we're like, yeah, he would definitely threaten it. There's definitely like a huge risk. We just don't know like the percentage chance of him being successful. I'm content
Well, I
with
don't
that.
know what he's going to do without even the powers of the president.
Well, the question would be, do we agree that he threatened democracy on his last term? Do we agree with that?
I think he tried to scheme in order to get the election, and he went further than we've seen in a very long time, and it was not great.
Hold on. Hold on. I want to hear. I have to hear. I'm going to call moderator. I want an answer to that from both people. Did Donald Trump threaten democracy for his last electoral term with the way that he tried to choose who was going to win the presidency? I want an answer from both people.
No.
Cam,
Oh my God.
would
Well,
you
what
like
was
to
the
answer
answer?
that as well?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that he deployed some like esoteric, like legal bullshit, and it didn't work. And democracy still exists. And I think that, as Sean pointed out, random esoteric legal schemes like this have been deployed in the past, and democracy continued to exist. We're not shifting the debate to a different topic. We never conceded that Trump is
So I was gonna say yeah. So it's yes or no. What are we at?
Overthrow democracy.
So-
We're still holding you to like you have to prove that he's going to overthrow democracy. Obviously, it's the premise of the debate.
Wait. Okay. So do we think he did or he didn't? Like, was he with threat? Did he threaten democracy in his last presidential term or no?
No. I would say absolutely
Okay,
not.
so we both say no. Okay, so we think that it was okay. You both think you're both on board. You think it was okay. It was within the bounds of what's acceptable in our system, a good faith interpretation of our laws, of our structure, of our order, for Donald Trump to try to illegitimately insert false electors and have the vice president switch the results of the election. We think that that's an okay thing.
You're just like deploying a false dichotomy on us, right? We never said that because it wasn't a threat to democracy that it was necessarily a good thing, right? Neither of us actually.
When I
started
say a good
by saying
thing,
that it was a
I'm
bad
sorry.
thing, right?
When I say
We
good,
never said that it was a good thing.
okay. When I say good, I mean good as in it comports with the best faith interpretation of our system. Do we think that this is a?
We don't have to agree to that either. We can say that it's a bad faith interpretation of the system, but that doesn't mean that it's a threat to democracy. Saying that it's not a threat to democracy does not imply that we think it's a good faith attempt to.
Okay, wait. Do you think
when
the
you say-
vice
when you-
president? Do you think the vice president trying to change the results of the election? Do you think that is a threat to our democracy? Do you think that's democratic?
Wait. I never said that it was. Again, I
didn't say good. You're on the last one. I'm asking you, with the vice president being told by the president to pick him as the leader again, to make him win the election, is that an attack on our democracy, or would that be? acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have to like say that it's not an attack on democracy, but as Sean pointed out, that it's happened in the past, and democracy still exists.
That's not what I'm asking.
That specific attack, as you put it, did not overthrow democracy. If it was successful, it wouldn't have overthrown democracy. We would have still had democracy. And like, you can talk about like bad faith, like politicians act in bad faith all the time.
No,
right?
they don't.
Like,
nope, not like this. You're wrong.
Oh yeah, they do.
Nope.
Absolutely, they do. The Inflation Reduction Act is bad faith.
That has
lying about-
absolutely. Oh my God! Don't even go there. You have no idea what you're
I
talking
don't
about.
want to deflect it. I don't want to deflect a different policy. but
I will say AJW Hutch did try to interject first, so I do want to give him a chance to talk.
Okay.
Then we'll go back to you, and then I have a question for everybody.
Well, I was going to say to Cam, when you say like he deployed some esoteric, what exactly did you say there?
Yeah, like I'm gonna think that he probably did pretty much the same thing that they did to him, but he did it first, right? He deployed some like esoteric legal theory and tried to like find loopholes so that he could remain in office. I don't have to concede.
When you say that he did the same thing that was done to him, are you referring to people that were in the congressional halls on January 6th in 2016 when
No.
Biden was certifying the elect? What are you equating that with?
What do you mean? What am I equating that with?
You said that he did the same thing to them that they did to him. What do you mean by that?
I think that Democrats, like in their own states, have deployed like esoteric legal theories against Trump. Yeah, for sure. But that's just a passing comment, right? I don't have to like I don't know what you're saying. Like, why are you talking about January 6th?
Well, when have you ever seen a Democrat politician engage in the months-long sort of scheming that Trump was in a multi-pronged effort in like several swing states? And then incite a mob to storm the Capitol and then watch them for 3 hours before asking them to leave. Have you ever seen a Democrat do anything like that before?
So I'm gonna fundamentally reject the idea that he incited the mob. First of all, second of all, like I don't need to like show you that Democrats have done this to like the same extent, right? But Democrats have actually absolutely contested elections. Al Gore did it in 2000. John Kerry did it in 2004.
Why are you lying? Those contested elections happened in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said no, and then it ended. That was it.
Wait. No. I'm not talking about like legal proceedings. I'm talking about like rhetoric. Like John.
We're not talking. No one cares about rhetoric. We're talking about Donald Trump scheming, involving officials, involving unofficial people. Yes, that was part of what happened on January 6th. He incited a riot. Yes, that's what happened. Yes.
He didn't incite a riot. He did not incite a riot. His entire campaign was run on like look at the BLM people. They're rioting, and we're the party or the ticket of law and order.
That didn't happen. Yeah, but what happened on January 6th? That wasn't law and order. Was it? It was an insurrection.
No, it wasn't law and order, Destiny. Nobody said that it was law and order, but you have to prove that that's what Trump wanted them to do.
You can just look at his actions. The evidence while it's happening is Donald Trump sat and watched TV. He didn't do anything to call any of the people off. He wouldn't make a tweet to tell the people to go home.
All right, let's go through the timeline. Let's go through the timeline, Destiny.
Let's go through the timeline.
Let's go through the timeline real quick. Let's go through the timeline.
Sure.
12:53 p.m., 19 minutes before Trump ended his speech, rioters overran the perimeter. At 2 p.m., the Capitol went on lockdown as the first rioters breached the building. At 2:38, Trump tweeted, "Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful." This was 2 hours after the perimeter ran, but only 38 minutes, roughly, according to CNN, after they first breached the building. Okay, around 2:45
Hold on, wait.
p.m.
Do you think that? Wait. Do you think? Wait. Hold on, wait. Do you want to go through the? Hold on. Do you want to go through the timeline or not? Wait. Do you want to go? Do you want to go through? Do you want to go through the timeline? Do you want to go? Wait. Let's go through the timeline. Hold on. Why would you tweet? Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful if they're not peaceful. They haven't been peaceful for an hour and a half.
Encouraging them to be peaceful.
While they're already rioting? Peaceful? What are you talking about? They're not peaceful. They've already broken in.
De-escalate, Destiny. Oh
no. If the goal was to de-escalate, why was Ivanka? People. Why was his son? Why were lawmakers? Why was everybody calling Donald Trump saying, please call these people off?
Destiny, you asked me a question. Now I'm going to answer the question. So why might Trump tweet, "Remain peaceful and respect our law enforcement," while his people that he has immense influence over are actively like fighting against police officers and being violent?
Because he's trying to take advantage of the violence. He wanted them to do it.
I can't hear anything. I would like to have Destiny respond, and then I do want to go to actual Justice Flora because he's been waiting patiently.
He wanted them to be violent. Also, you very conveniently skipped over that at around 2:15, people were outside saying, hang Mike Pence, as they were already broken through the restricted zone. And then at 2:24, Donald Trump tweeted, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts. The USA demands the truth. Do you agree that tweet was encouraging the violence that was already going on?
No. Do you have any evidence that Trump knew about the like hanging
Yes.
thing. And also,
Yes.
if I one second. Also, if I put on I don't know, a Kamala Harris 2024 hat and I go and put up like a gallows of JD Vance, does that immediately implicate Kamala Harris?
No, but if Kamala Harris saw it, and if Kamala Harris saw it, and she was sitting there watching it on TV as it was happening, and she sat and watched TV for 3 hours while BLM people broke into the Capitol building, and when people came up to her, they were begging her to call them off or begging her to make them stop. She was like, you know what? Maybe they deserve it. Fuck them. Then I'd say, you know what? Kind of seems like she does want that to happen.
Destiny, you're making the connection that Trump was watching TV.
He was.
Actual Justice has been waiting for a little bit, so I do want to throw it over to him.
Yeah, nobody disputes that there was actually, I shouldn't say nobody. Nobody here disputes that there was a riot on the Capitol on January 6th. But the idea that Trump incited it by telling them to go over and peacefully protest.
He never said that.
Okay, well, at the end of his speech, he did.
No, he didn't. He said that 20 minutes into the speech, he said, I know you'll be marching peacefully. That wasn't anywhere near the end of his speech. The speech was about an hour and 15 minutes long. It is whatever, because the last things he said were, we're going to fight like hell.
You win greatest factoid award.
I know. Being factually correct isn't really popular with conservatives, but we kind of like to do it sometimes. I know.
It's fine. Whatever. That's fine. Anyway, so... yeah, the plan was, again, for anybody who wasn't paying attention, and it's a dumb plan, it was based on an insane interpretation of the Electoral Count Act, was for these people to protest at the Capitol and put pressure on officials to not certify the election so that it could be kicked to the Congress, which they would then vote based on one vote per state, and the Republicans had more majorities in more states in order to give him the election. The idea that the plan was for them to riot and like threaten to kill people and all that is just not true. It's ridiculous. And
when you look at the time,
if Trump's goal was to take the government by force, he probably wouldn't send a bunch of absolute idiots into the Capitol to do so. He might think about using his power as commander-in-chief to order the military to do that. So yeah, like, he encouraged people to protest. He encouraged them to advocate for an insanely stupid interpretation of the Electoral Count Act. We haven't even gotten into his interpretation of how you can do alternate electors, which were fraudulent electors. All of that was horrible stuff. For sure.
Yeah, just to be clear, there was no
inexcusable stuff.
There wasn't.
All
it wasn't. It was
illegal stuff from his legal team, and he should not have done that. That being said, this was not the end of democracy, and the idea that he planned to have them steal Nancy Pelosi's podium to take the presidency is ridiculous.
Nobody's saying that he specifically wanted them to break into Nancy Pelosi's office. What we're saying is, and Cam, you left something out of your timeline. He arrived at the White House at 1:20 p.m. He went into the White House dining room at 1:25 p.m. He did put out 2 tepid tweets as cops were being brutalized and they were breaking into the Capitol. He put out 2 tepid tweets saying, stay peaceful during a riot while people were literally dying. And it took him almost 3 hours to come out with a statement asking them to go home. And this was after he had several aides and family members begging him to make a post asking them to leave. He refused to do it for 3 hours.
So wait, before we go to anybody responding, Lauren Southern has just messaged the staff here, and apparently she wants back in. But because, of course, she dropped out and now she wants back in, I need to ask the people on here, because it's your guys' show, since you're the guests. Do you want her back?
I'm fine with that.
I'm okay.
I'm fine with that.
Cam?
Sure.
Okay. Danabo, you heard him. You guys can continue.
We keep saying interpretation of the ECA also. This wasn't an interpretation of the ECA. It was saying, we don't think the ECA is legal, so we're just going to ignore the ECA. That was the quote-unquote interpretation. Okay.
No, the interpretation was that the vice president can certify it, therefore he can not certify the election and then throw it to the Congress.
No,
that was the whole point.
No. The whole point was him saying that the ECA is not legal. We don't believe in the ECA. That was the whole point. That's why every time they say constitutional, they refer to the 12th Amendment. They're saying that they think that the 12th Amendment supersedes the ECA, and the ECA is unconstitutional. That's why
Pence had his own White House counsel that told him, you cannot do this. This is not an option. And Pence tried to communicate this to Trump over and over and over and over again, and it just didn't get through. Trump was asking him to do something that Pence's own lawyers were telling him, this is unconstitutional. You do not have that option.
Also, hold on, just by definition, definitionally, if Trump would have succeeded and would have stayed in office and then now he's about to leave office, would you be saying then that it wasn't a threat to democracy and democracy didn't end?
Yeah, that's what I said for the Hayes election. It didn't end.
Okay, wait. So then, so we can say that even if the president were to flip the election and stay in office, democracy. So what would be the counting of ending democracy to you then? Do we have to show that it's going to be like an apocalypse?
I mean, presumably there would be another election in that scenario. Like, I mean, a lot of people argue that Gore won Florida and that Bush was installed by the Supreme Court with a ridiculous decision that they said was not precedent.
That didn't answer my question at all.
I'm saying withhold that.
Like, it's probably going to be like precedent that like there's not elections in the future, or that Trump is choosing who gets to be elected, or that like executive members of the government are choosing who gets elected. I've heard you call Trump a dictator like 100 times on your stream.
Yeah, because he says things. Because he talks like a dictator. Yeah, because he says things like a dictator, right? When Trump says a massive fraud of this type of magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, that's dictator talk. And when Donald Trump says, I would be a dictator on day one, that's dictator talk.
Oh, come on, Destiny. That was a joke, and you know
two
it.
things.
I do want to ask. I've been waiting to ask this question. I hate to cut off here, but this is something that's been on my mind. So there seems to be a divide about one side saying like, you have to prove 100% that this election is going to be the end of democracy. If democracy is on the ballot, then Trump wins and democracy's over. That's what we would have to prove. The other side seems to be saying, well, we can't prove that 100%. We can't know the future, but that it's at risk. If there was like, say, some other country and there was a person who got elected and then they degraded institutions and then further elections, it got worse and worse and worse. Would we not say that election where that person started that process was a threat to democracy? I know you'd have to look back, but the question is, does it have to be an all or nothing for
He's about to say move the goalposts.
No. I'm happy to move the goalpost. If we want to talk about like threats to democracy rather than democracy ending and democracy being on the ballot, I'll take like a point blank concession from everybody on the panel.
Okay, wait. So just curious. Let's say Donald Trump finds a way to appoint his son as the next president, but like everything else continues as normal. Would we say that the democracy ended, or is it still democracy?
If he
appointed his son the next president,
yeah,
then that would be the end of our like electoral system.
What's the difference between him appointing his son versus him like flipping and choosing himself as the winner after January 6th?
Well, if you're doing like a contested election where we have a process for it, which, but again, I don't buy.
Wait, it wasn't a contested election and the process was exhausted. That's not what happened.
First of all, it was literally like, did Trump have a good case? No. But was it contested? Yeah.
No, it was settled. No, and they were settled. It was over. There was no big contestment.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to argue over the definition of contested. But that's different from saying my son is the president after me. Like, do you not understand that?
No, I don't at all. Yeah, explain it to me. What's the difference? Donald Trump lost the election fair and square. The Americans and the states voted against him, and then he tried to change that outcome in the Congress. Why would it be different if he did it for him or for his son?
If you appoint your son, you're saying if his son was on the ballot and then he lost and then they had like the same argument and then they ended up using this technique to get his son.
You're focused too much on the technique. You seem to be saying that even if the president was elected illegitimately, if he appointed himself the next ruler, you're saying democracy isn't over. So in that case, I'm just wondering what
the specifics matter.
So if you violate the election and you choose unilaterally to make yourself the next president or make somebody else the next president, you're saying democracy isn't over.
It depends on what. So you're saying if Don Jr. runs like Trump did and ends up in the same situation, and then that plot actually works. Is that what you're asking, or are you just saying he comes into, like, he just appoints his son the next president?
I'm saying let's say he's president this time. Let's say that his son runs, and let's say that his son loses the election, but he runs the same scheme, and he manages to make it so that so that his son actually wins because this time JD Vance goes along with it. Is that like the end of democracy, or what is that?
Okay, quickly, we've also added pondering in order to balance it out because hippy dippy, it's supposed to have a balance, 3v3. If it's, Cam Higbee and actual, it just, that's the reason why he's here, explaining that.
Welcome in here, brother.
What up?
Lauren, nice to meet you. We've never spoke.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Do you have any thoughts?
I haven't been listening. I've been trying to figure out text and I have to sit and catch up on what's going on, but I'm sure all the liberals are incorrect here.
I'm happy you could make it. I'm happy we're getting, man, it's a 3v3 now. Now it's an even bigger event. Huzzah.
Yeah,
I'm just curious, what is the minimum threshold then from the other side? Since apparently the president unilaterally deciding that he's going to remain president, that's not destroying democracy. What is like our minimum threshold that we're looking at here for like major threat to democracy?
Sorry, can you explain, since I just got in here, what do you mean by the president unilaterally deciding he's going to remain president?
So Sean and Camby seem to be of the impression that if the president were to find a way to remain president and circumvent the will of the voters, that wouldn't actually be the end of democracy or a threat to democracy. So we're trying to figure out, like, well, what exactly is the, what would we have to...
This is like a hypothetical.
Yes.
Not, okay.
Yeah, he's just trying to establish the threshold, what constitutes a threat to democracy.
Wait, Sean, what's your argument there? Because I think...
Well, first of all, they keep saying threat to democracy, but they're the ones who are saying democracy's on the ballot, that it's going to end if Trump were to win. Now Steven's asking this question, but he won't clarify exactly how, like, his son is supposed to be the president. If he hands the presidency like a throne to his son, then yes, that would be a monarchy, and that would be the end of democracy.
So I could be talking out my ass. I don't know if Dylan sent you.
Wait, hold on, wait. I'm sorry, wait, hold on, wait. I'm sorry, I need to clarify. The process doesn't matter. The question is very simple.
It actually does matter.
No, hold on. The thing is if the leader chooses the next leader in opposition to what the people choose, it doesn't matter how. We're assuming some extra legal manner, okay? So if the leader chooses the next leader against the will of the people, you seem to be saying that that's not really a threat to democracy, as long as, like, the presidential election the next time goes back to normal.
Well, the end of democracy.
So what do we have to prove here? That democracy is ending? If democracy is on the ballot...
I want to know what the
debate?
method that Trump's going to overthrow democracy is, because you're saying January 6th, but he can't even be on the
you're
ballot.
avoiding. We're not talking about the method. We
You
don't
just
even
asked
know.
me a separate question, and now you're avoiding this other point when I just asked.
Wait, hold on, wait. I want to appeal.
Explain that.
No, I want to appeal to the moderator, to Dylan. Tell me, okay? Because now it seems like we have an unpassable bar, because we've said that what if the president finds a way to remain in power, and they're saying, oh, well, even if that would happen, that doesn't seem to necessarily be a threat to democracy. Even if he does it with extra legal whatever means, as long as it goes back to normal afterwards. So I don't even know what the threshold is of what we're trying to prove now.
Well, I mean, are you asking me, like, what was my intent with the question? Is that
No,
what
make
you're
them
asking?
define
You never
it.
Clarify. Yeah.
Okay, would you like to define it? And then after, we're gonna go to pondering.
Who are you talking to, Dylan?
I was asking actual Justice Warrior.
As everybody
That's
said,
just you. That's just you, Sean. He was talking to you. He says, "Do you want to define it?"
Oh, define what? I wasn't listening.
The end of democracy.
Oh, so first of all, yes, like, in terms of a threat, which is not what we're talking about, yes, this would be a problem because it could become a norm. But again, this strategy actually worked. And you talk about handing it over to the next guy. This happened in the election of 1876. Like, it led to the Hayes Compromise, which is absolutely disastrous, where they ended up sacrificing the civil liberties of Black Americans in order to get the presidency in an election that was incredibly sketchy, that most historians still say that they can't determine who won. But because that didn't become a pattern, then our system was able to endure it. So yeah, it's a risk, it's a threat. But again, you're saying democracy is on the ballot. It is going to be ended if Trump won.
Where does that follow? See, that's where I'm confused. Unless Dylan sent some sort of, like, clarifying email out that when I say is democracy on the ballot, I mean if Trump is elected with 100% certainty, democracy ends, as in there are no more elections. That is a ridiculous.
You can't even put forward.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me suggest. Hold on.
I can't hear anything. Pondering, you want to say that one more time?
Yeah,
we'll have one
so
person respond to it.
Again, I was an initial, like, invitee to this, so maybe there was, like, an email clarifying what the hell ballot democracy on the ballot means. But just that phrase does not at all imply that if Donald Trump is elected, it's 100% guaranteed that there will be no more future elections. It's ridiculous. Stephen gave you an example all the way back to the very fucking beginning about how President Obama campaigned on closing Guantanamo Bay. Ergo, you could say that Guantanamo Bay was on the ballot. It's still here, even though Obama was elected twice. So it's just a ridiculously bad faith interpretation, because you can't defend.
Can I jump in here?
You know you can't defend that Donald Trump
where's the campaign promise to end democracy?
Wait 1 second.
So now
Lawrence
it's got to be an
Southern
explicit campaign
That's
plan.
what you just cited.
I'll mute.
That's what you just cited.
No, you said that it has to be a fact.
Lawrence Southern, you wanted to respond to it, and you haven't spoken yet, so I wanted to throw it to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, I was very clear. It was Counterpoints, Connor, that reached out to me to join this debate. When he initially told me the subject, whether democracy was on the ballot or not, which to me seems like a pretty clear question, but I asked for clarification to him, because I said, I'm not sure there's going to be much disagreement here unless it is literally a black and white question of they think democracy is going to come to an end if Trump is elected. And he said, yeah, that is the debate that we're having. So that was the impression I was under when I came into here. I imagine Sean and I had a conversation yesterday about this conversation, and we were like, man, that's a pretty bizarre position, but I guess that's what they're taking. But if you're not taking that, then we are absolutely happy to have you cede the debate at this point that democracy is not, in fact, on the ballot.
What was your interpretation? Well, hang on. I'm sorry. Just real quick. Can you clarify that? Was that your interpretation of the prompt? Because I don't think either of you will say with 100% certitude that Donald Trump will end democracy if he is elected.
Well, okay. Can I? Well, the thing. Can I clarify? I mean, I wrote the question. I guess I should clarify what I meant if this wasn't communicated. I didn't necessarily mean that we know for 100% certain that Trump is going to end democracy. At least that's what I wrote it. That couldn't have been communicated. I just generally meant that, like, democracy, the issue of democracy, like, could it be genuinely affected by this election? For example, like the institutions that hold up our democratic world, like our democratic institutions being crippled or undermined, making it so
why are we doing this? Why are you explaining this? This is retarded. Using their using their definitions, and they would all agree with this. If you were to elect literally God Emperor resurrected Stalin Hitler, and he were to destroy American democracy for 1 year, and then we were to come back and survive and be okay, they would say, oh, then that wasn't a threat. That didn't destroy democracy. That didn't destroy democracy. This is retarded. This is so stupid.
I've ever taken that position, sir.
Stalin, God, Hitler is going to come back and like destroy democracy for a year. Like, we reject that that's going to happen, right? So, like, if I say abortion is on the ballot this year, what does that mean to you? To me, abortion on the ballot means that there's one party who is promising that they will ban abortion, and there's one party that is promising they will make it accessible to people. Abortion is on the ballot. Depending on who you vote for, you will have different abortion access. If I say democracy is on the ballot, what that means to me is that if I vote for the wrong candidate, democracy will cease to exist.
Do you think? Hold on, wait. Do you think democracy? Wait,
one second. I just want to ask. So just clarify for definitional reasons. Would that mean if somebody said abortion is on the ballot, that means like the options is abortion is gone this election, or
I don't know how much longer I can do this. There's too many people in here triggering the fuck out of me.
No, obviously not. He kind of tacitly conceded that if abortion's on the ballot, it doesn't guarantee that if a certain person is elected, that abortion will become federal law of the land or will be outlawed. He fucking knows it, which is why he moved the goalpost a bit. Okay, sure. Abortion.
That's exactly what they're running on.
But there's also myriad pieces of legislation that could serve as like a middle ground between those two possible outcomes that you're not even like.
Like, here's the question: Does abortion only mean it is completely illegal in every single circumstance, or it's full term, 9-month, right up until the baby's completely out of the vagina, you can shoot it in the head, it's a-okay, or is there a whole middle ground?
When they say abortion, they're obviously talking about elective abortions, right? So what you do when you say that is you're creating a dichotomy that one party will give it to you, and one party will take it away.
There's not even a dichotomy in the Democratic Party. What are you talking about? You think the entire Democratic Party?
We'll move on.
No, it's not a concession. You're being.
No, I know it's not a concession.
Do you think? Hold on. Do you think that abortion? Do you think the issue? Do you think that there is a dichotomy on the issue of abortion, on the issue of gun control? Do you think there's a dichotomy on that?
When we talk about abortion colloquially, we're obviously talking about elective abortions by and large. So when you say abortion on the ballot, talking about elective abortions,
is it a 6-week abortion? Is it an 8-week abortion? Is it a 10-week abortion?
This is actual retardation. Oh my God.
Yeah, I wanna pull back this abortion thing for a second. All right, so like my issue, and I gave you guys a way easier out than like prove 100%.
We don't need an out.
That the gum is gonna. Well, I mean, you kind of do.
No, we don't. Your interpretation is ridiculous.
And this is what we got. So like,
the fucking guy who created the prompt, Sean, disagrees with you. That's the thing.
Okay.
You can appeal to Lauren. I can appeal to the guy.
The author theory. Look into it.
But anyway, wait. Let me just be clear. Like,
do you have a?
Okay. I just want to clarify. That was how I wrote the question. Like, you can still argue, like, hey, Trump 100% needs to end democracy. You need to prove that, and that's the standard I want to hold. But that's what I meant when I wrote
I have the receipts.
From counterpoints, maybe, but counterpoints might have interpreted my question incorrectly. But I was wondering.
Can we not entertain this argument that whether or not something is on the ballot means it's a binary choice? Nobody in the real world believes this. These people don't believe this. Like, nobody believes this. Why are we letting the conservatives gaslight us into this stupid fucking position? It's so retarded.
What Dylan intended when he wrote the question. Just concede that that you do not know that Trump is going to be a dictator, and let's move on.
If somebody says that immigration is on the ballot, does that mean that you either have open borders or no no immigration? Is that what it means when immigration is on the ballot? It's either open borders or no immigration? This is so
my God,
stupid.
let the lady talk. Rude.
Okay, Lauren Southern.
I literally was like, I'm down for the debate.